Real English for your daily life.
Master English together.
You got the promotion. You finished the big project. Everyone's congratulating you. And then the next morning, you wake up and think, is this it?
That feeling has a name, and today we're going to talk about it.
This is Everyday English Podcast, and I'm Sarah.
And I'm Noah. This is a B1 level episode, perfect for intermediate learners. And if you're a beginner, you're absolutely welcome here too.
So here's what we're exploring today. That strange hollow feeling you get after achieving something. When the applause fades and you're left wondering, what am I actually doing this for?
And we're not talking about burnout. We're not talking about depression. We're talking about something quieter. Something a lot of people feel but can't quite name.
A psychologist named Viktor Frankl, who survived Nazi concentration camps, called it the existential vacuum, the feeling that your life is missing meaning.
And here's what's wild. He didn't observe this in people who had nothing. He observed it in people who had everything and still felt empty.
Quick question before we go further, and this one's a 3-second answer. When someone asks you, what are you living for? Do you answer with A, a goal like a promotion or a degree, or B, a feeling like connection or purpose?
Drop your answer in your head right now, A or B. We'll come back to why that matters.
By the end of this episode, you'll have 2 simple, zero-pressure exercises to help you reconnect with what actually drives you, not what looks good on a resume, but what makes you feel like your existence matters.
And stay until the end for our word tour. 5 powerful expressions we'll use throughout today's conversation. Words like hollow, anchor, and make a difference. You'll want these.
We're guessing right now, you're probably on a commute, doing dishes, or lying in bed avoiding your to-do list.
No judgment. Honestly, same.
And later, we'll give you one tiny sentence, just one, that you can say to yourself every morning. But first, let's talk about why so many of us end up feeling this way in the first place.
So let me tell you about something that happened to me last year. I'd been working on this massive project for months, late nights, weekends, the whole thing.
The kind where you're barely sleeping, right?
Exactly. And when it finally launched, my boss sent this company-wide email praising the team. My name was at the top. People were congratulating me in the hallway. I even got a bonus.
That sounds amazing.
It should have been. But here's what actually happened. I went home that night, sat on my couch, and just stared at the wall. I felt nothing, not happy, not proud, just hollow.
Hollow. That's the exact word, isn't it?
I remember thinking, what's wrong with me? I just achieved something most people would celebrate for weeks, and I couldn't even feel it.
You know what's interesting? That feeling, that emptiness after success, it's not a sign that something's wrong with you. It's a sign that something's missing from the success itself.
What do you mean?
Viktor Frankl, the psychologist we mentioned earlier, he spent years studying this, and he discovered something profound. He said the deepest human drive isn't pleasure. It's not even success. It's the need to feel like your life has meaning.
So when I finished that project, I got the success, but I didn't get the meaning.
Exactly. Because meaning doesn't come from external validation. It comes from internal connection. Knowing that what you're doing resonates with something deeper inside you.
Okay, but here's my question. How do you even know what resonates with you? Like, I thought finishing that project would feel meaningful, but it didn't.
That's the trap, isn't it? We spend so much time chasing goals that look meaningful. The promotion, the the degree, the perfect relationship that we forget to ask ourselves, does this actually matter to me?
Or are we just doing it because everyone else says we should?
Exactly. And that's where the existential vacuum comes in. Frankl noticed this in the concentration camps. People who survived weren't always the strongest or the healthiest. They were the ones who had a reason to keep going, a meaning that anchored them.
An anchor. I like that image.
And here's what's wild. He saw the same thing decades later in his therapy practice. People who had everything, money, status, comfort, but felt completely lost. Because they had no anchor, no sense of why they were doing any of it.
That's uncomfortably accurate.
It's not just you, Noah. This is everywhere. I have a friend, brilliant, successful, everyone admires her. And she told me recently, I feel like I'm living someone else's life.
Wow.
She said she wakes up every morning, goes through the motions, checks off her to-do list. And at the end of the day, she can't remember why any of it mattered.
That's terrifying.
It is, because it's not dramatic, it's not a crisis. It's just this quiet, persistent feeling that you're drifting, that your life is happening to you instead of being created by you.
So what did she do?
She started asking herself a different question. Not what should I do, but what would make me feel like today mattered.
That's such a simple shift.
But it changes everything, because suddenly you're not chasing external markers of success. You're looking for internal signals of meaning.
Like, what actually makes a difference to you?
Exactly. And here's the thing, meaning doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be saving the world or curing cancer. Sometimes it's just helping one person, creating one thing, having one real conversation.
That's so different from how we usually think about success.
Because success is about achievement, meaning is about connection. Success asks, did I win? Meaning asks, did this matter?
And you can have one without the other.
Absolutely, you can achieve everything and feel nothing. Or you can achieve very little and feel deeply fulfilled.
So when I finished that project and felt hollow, it's because I was measuring it by the wrong standard.
You're measuring it by success, the bonus, the praise, the recognition, but you weren't measuring it by meaning. Did this connect to something I care about? Did it make a difference in a way that matters to me?
And honestly, I don't think it did.
And that's okay. That's not failure. That's information. It's your internal compass telling you this path isn't aligned with what actually drives you.
My internal compass has been pretty quiet lately.
That's because we've been trained to ignore it. We've been taught to follow the external markers, the salary, the title, the approval, and we forget to check in with ourselves and ask, does this resonate with me?
So how do we start listening again?
That's exactly what we're going to explore next. And by the way, there's a phrase for this internal compass. It's called your meaning anchor. We'll break it down in our word tour later.
But first, let's talk about how to actually find it.
So here's what I've actually tried. And I want to be honest, this isn't a 5-step productivity system. It's quieter than that.
Okay, I'm listening.
The first practice is what I call meaning retrieval. You think back to a recent moment, not a big achievement, just a small moment where you finished something and felt, this was worth it, not because someone praised you, but because something inside you felt settled.
But wait, isn't that just nostalgia? Like you're looking backwards instead of moving forward?
That's a fair challenge. But here's the thing. It's not about living in the past. It's about using the past as data. Those moments where you felt genuinely satisfied, they're clues. They tell you which of your values got activated.
But what if I can't find those moments? What if I look back and everything just feels flat?
That's actually really common, and it doesn't mean you have no values. It means you've been so focused on external goals that you've stopped noticing the internal signals. The feelings are still there. They're just buried under a lot of noise.
Okay, I can accept that. But here's my bigger concern. What if someone does this exercise and realizes their meaningful moments are all small, like helping a colleague or finishing a personal project nobody cares about? Does that count?
That's exactly the point. Frankl was very clear about this. Meaning doesn't scale with importance. A moment of genuine connection with one person can be just as meaningful as launching a company. The size doesn't matter. The resonance does.
But doesn't society kind of punish you for that? Like if you tell your boss, I find meaning in small moments of connection, they're not going to promote you.
And that's the tension, isn't it? The world rewards achievement, but your inner life rewards meaning. And when those two things are completely misaligned, that's when you feel hollow.
Right. But I still think there's a practical problem here. You're saying find your meaning anchor. But that sounds like something you figure out once and then you're done. And I don't think it works like that.
You're absolutely right. It's not a one-time discovery. It's a daily practice, which is why the second exercise matters so much.
Okay, tell me.
Every morning you complete one sentence. Today, if I can make even a small difference for someone or something, it will be, that's it. One sentence, 30 seconds.
That sounds almost too simple.
I know, but here's what happens. When you name something specific, you give your brain a direction. Instead of drifting through the day reacting to whatever comes at you, you have a tiny anchor, something that makes the day feel intentional.
But what if I write the same thing every day? Like, make a difference for my team. Doesn't it become meaningless if it's just a habit?
That's a really honest question. And yes, if you do it mechanically, it loses its power. The key is to actually pause and feel it. Not just write the words, but ask yourself, does this resonate with me today? Does it feel true right now?
So it's less about the sentence and more about the moment of genuine reflection.
Exactly. Martin Seligman, one of the founders of positive psychology, identified meaning as one of the 5 core elements of human well-being in his PERMA model. And his research showed that people who regularly connect their daily actions to a sense of purpose report significantly higher life satisfaction. Not because their lives are easier, but because they feel like what they're doing matters.
Okay, but I want to push back one more time. Because I think some people will hear this and think this is a privilege. Like, not everyone has the luxury of asking, what's my meaning? Some people are just trying to survive.
That's the most important pushback of all. And Frankl actually addressed this directly because he developed this theory while surviving a concentration camp. He wasn't writing from comfort. He was writing from the most extreme suffering imaginable.
Right.
And his conclusion was that meaning isn't a luxury. It's actually what sustains people through hardship. It's not something you find after the struggle. It's what carries you through it. Even in the smallest form, I'm doing this for my child. I'm doing this because I promised someone. I'm doing this because it matters to me. That's enough to keep going.
So meaning isn't the reward at the end. It's the fuel along the way.
That's it. That's the whole thing.
So we've talked about the hollow feeling after success, the existential vacuum, and choose real practices to reconnect with what actually drives you.
And now it's time for our word tour.
5 expressions we've been using throughout this conversation. Words that'll help you talk about meaning, purpose, and that quiet inner drive.
These aren't textbook words, they're the ones that actually resonate with real life.
Let's break them down.
Alright, let's look at the actual words we've been using today. Start with hollow. Remember when Noah described that feeling after his big project launch?
Yeah. I sat on my couch and felt completely hollow. Like there was nothing inside.
That's the perfect use. Hollow means empty in a way that feels wrong. It's not just physical emptiness, it's emotional. When success doesn't fill you up the way you expected, that's hollow.
You could say, the promotion felt hollow, or after the celebration, I just felt hollow.
Exactly. It's that specific kind of emptiness that comes after you achieve something, but it doesn't satisfy you.
Now, the opposite of hollow is having a real drive, not just motivation. Drive. It's deeper than that.
Right. Drive is what pushes you forward from the inside. It's not external pressure, it's internal fuel. Frankl said the deepest human drive isn't pleasure or success, it's meaning.
So you're not driven by your boss's deadline. You're driven by something that matters to you personally.
Exactly. You might say, my drive to help people keeps me going. Or, I've lost my drive lately. It's that core motivation that comes from within.
And when you find that drive, you need something to hold on to it. That's where anchor comes in.
Oh, I love this one. An anchor is something that keeps you steady. In our conversation, we talked about a meaning anchor, something that grounds you when everything else feels chaotic.
Like my family is my anchor, or that daily practice became an anchor for me.
Yes, it's not just something you care about, it's something that stabilizes you. When you're drifting, your anchor pulls you back to what matters.
And here's the thing, your anchor has to actually resonate with you, not just sound good on paper.
Oh, this is such an important phrase. Resonate with. It means something connects with you on a deep level. It feels true to who you are.
Like, you might hear advice that sounds smart, but it doesn't resonate with you. It doesn't click. It doesn't feel right for your life.
Exactly. You could say, that idea really resonates with me, or her story resonated with my own experience. It's about genuine connection, not just intellectual agreement.
And when something resonates with you, you want to act on it. You want to make a difference.
This is the phrase we kept coming back to. Make a difference. It means to have an impact, to change something in a meaningful way.
But here's what's beautiful about it. The difference doesn't have to be huge. You can make a difference in one person's day. You can make a difference in your own mindset.
Right. It's not about scale. It's about significance. I want to make a difference, or even small actions can make a difference.
And that's the whole point of today's episode, isn't it? You don't need to change the world to feel like your life has meaning. You just need to find what resonates with you, anchor yourself to it, and let that drive you to make a difference in whatever way feels true.
Even if the difference is small, even if no one else notices. If it matters to you, it's enough.
So those are our 5 expressions: hollow, drive, anchor, resonate with, and make a difference.
Use them. Notice them. Let them help you talk about what actually matters in your life. So here's what we covered today. That hollow feeling after success, it's not a personal failure. It's a signal, your inner compass telling you that achievement and meaning aren't the same thing.
And Viktor Frankl figured this out in the most extreme circumstances imaginable. If meaning could anchor people through that, it can anchor us through a bad week at work.
So here are 2 things you can actually try this week. First, meaning retrieval. Think back to one small moment recently where something felt genuinely worth it. Not because someone praised you, because you felt it. Write it down. Ask yourself, what value did that touch?
Connection, creativity, contribution, there's no wrong answer. Just honest ones.
And second, the morning sentence. Every day, complete this. Today, if I can make even a small difference for someone or something, it will be 1 sentence, 30 seconds. That's your anchor for the day.
I've actually been doing this for 2 weeks now, and I won't pretend it's magic, but it does something quiet and real. It makes the day feel like it belongs to me.
That's exactly it. Not every day will feel meaningful, but when you have a practice that keeps asking the question, you start noticing the answers more.
And if today's conversation resonated with you, if something we said made you think about your own drive, your own anchor, we'd love to hear about it.
Before you go, tell us in the comments, when was the last time something small made a real difference to you? It doesn't have to be profound, just honest.
We read every single comment, and honestly, your answers make a difference to us too.
Thanks for spending this time with us. Take care of yourself.
And we'll see you next time.